Hi guys, we continue to practice the commonly used functionalities which you are going to face in the real world. First, we will import my pandas library, and then the dataset here, df equals to pd read csv, and I am going to go to the one step back to the data folder here, and inside of the data folder I will pick up the name of the column here, paste it and call it. Okay, click shift enter. We have called it. The first question is the printing out the name of the columns. We have a couple of ways to do this. The first one is just adding the columns attribute and clicking shift enter. It will print out the name of the columns. Another way of doing it is just inside of the list method we are adding the df keys method. Df keys. Click shift enter. Again it will print out it. Or we are just adding the toList method to the columns. df columns, adding what? toList method here, and it will again print out these names. If you want to fetch specific columns, you would like to use, for example, all the columns after this subregion, you are just adding the inside of this after the columns you are adding the slicing here by typing to column and closing the square brackets and click shift enter. It will just print out all the columns after the subregions, because subregion is considered the second column here because it starts from 0 and counting it as the index positions here, 0, 1 and 2, but it includes the subregion itself. The next question is filter the dataset where rate is between 5 and 10. We again will use a couple of ways of doing it. The first one is just typing the df rate is between method. We're adding what? Between method here, between and 5 and 10. This is considered one of the best and easiest way of doing it. You can see it will just print out true, false based on this statement here, rate statement. 6.7 is between 5 and 10, that's why it prints out the true. But if I want to print out the whole data set, including all the columns and rows, I will just entail it with square brackets and call the data frame itself. It will, again, you could see, print out all the columns for this according to this rate condition here from 5 to 10. This is the first way of doing it. Another way is the practical way. We are just typing the df rate is greater than 5 and up ampersand df rate is less than 10, and it will right now print an error. But if we surround it with round brackets here from both sides and then with square brackets and call the data frame itself, click shift enter, again the result will be the same here. And one easiest way of doing it is the query method. Of course, we should not forget it. Query also is widely used. We are just typing the query, double brackets here, rate is greater than 5 and rate is less than 10. If I click shift enter, again it will filter it out based on these conditions here. Another question is filter the data based on multiple conditions and print out the region column equals to Asia and rate is greater than 5. We basically want to print out the region column here. If the region should be Asia and the rate should be greater than 5. Okay, let's do it right now. I will type in the df region should be what? Equals to Asia. Click shift enter, true, false again, and then another condition will be what? df and df what? Rate is greater than 5. Okay, then what we do, we are just surrounded with round brackets both of these conditions and all of these conditions with square brackets, and calling the data frame here, and you can see it will pull up all the Asia rows for region column here where the rate is greater than 5. Okay, we have also the query syntax here. We should not forget it. We are just typing the df query, then inside of the double quotes. Always try to use the double quotes because you are going to pass in the value inside of the single quote. Region equals to Asia, and count is greater than what? 5. Click shift enter. The result is not count, the rate should be greater than 5 rate, and you could see the result is the same here. But if I want to print out the total number of results of the printed result here, of the filtered result, I can just copy it and type in the len function and pass this query inside of this len function and click shift enter. You could see it will print out 6 because it basically count all the rows that have been filtered here and print it out here. We could give the maximum, minimum, sum, and average of the count. Okay, if I click shift enter, always try to make it to closer. And now if I want to give the maximum to this count column, for example, I will pick up the column name here, like this one, df count, and then I can even use it like this one, count, and add it the max here and click shift enter. It will print out the maximum for these rows. We have, how many rows do we have here? Shape, we have 195 rows. It will iterate over all rows and print out the maximum here, while the minimum will be 0. Mean, again we have mean, even the average, we will type in the mean, click shift enter. The mean will be 1942 here. Or we could even sum all these values here by typing the sum method. I will print out all these sum. I will sum just all the values inside of this count column. We will just type in sum and it will sum all these integer values here, but make sure that your data type has the integer data type here. Your column has an integer data type. If I try to count, get to know the data type of my count column here, it will print out the integer. That's why it works perfectly for us. Okay, the next one is find all the instances where region equals to Europe, count is greater than 100 and year is greater than 2018. Okay, this is an interesting one. Again, the conditions are the same. We are adding a couple of ones. Region, for example, is equal Europe, and the second criteria will be count is greater than 100, and again another one will be df year is greater than 2018, right? Again, if I want to just make this to all of these conditions, in order to meet all these criteria, I will just entail all of these to the round brackets and all these conditions to the square brackets and click shift enter. It will sort the region column for Europe for region column, count for greater than 100 here, and year after the 2018 here. You could see how many conditions we have brought up here. The next one is changes the column values by using apply method, and for example multiply rate column by 2 and store it to a new column. Rate column, we have a rate column here as this one, If I want to multiply all these values to a new column, I will type in what. I can even make it instantly to the column itself, or create a new column and define it to a new column. First, in order to do this, the easiest way is just creating the function and call it items, for example, and give a parameter x, and then type in the return, for example, return x multiplied 2, right? And now if I try to call the column itself DFRate, I can easily define the apply method to this column itself. Apply, and what should I apply here? This function, because this function holds what? X multiplied by 2. If I apply this function here, we are just calling the click shift enter and call the data frame here. It will multiply all these values to 2 here. If you just go back here, you could see that the 0 position is 6.7 while the second is 2.1, and it has multiplied 6.7 to 13.4 and 4.2, etc. Or is the basic syntax of using it is just defining it like DFRate. This one, click shift DFRate, apply, adding the lambda here, x, and x multiplied by 2. This is the simple or basic way of doing it, but I will not run it because I have already multiplied it by 2. Okay, with apply method we could even make lots of calculations from the existing data frame. That's why it is just a very useful tool to use. We could even replace values in a data frame column region with the replace method. How we should replace values? Let's see that we have again the data frame itself, df head, right? And we want to replace values in a data frame column region here. I want to replace Asia and Europe here. In order to replace this, once I will add in or type in the, for example, mapping, I can easily do it like this one. For example, mapping equals, I will define the column name here. First, the value name Asia. If I want to change it Asia, I want to change it to the region Asia, right? Asia, and then even add in another one, Europe, to the region Europe, right? I have defined a variable and want to just replace these values, these specific values. And now if I want to replace these values, I can do it with the map or replace method. The first one is the replace one. Yeah, let's just add it. This will be the values because I am using the replace method first, and then I will use mapping. I will just type in the df region equals again the column name here, df region, and then I will add in the replace method here, replace, and what do I want to replace? These values here, this variable here, and then click shift enter. It will give an error because it will say that it's after dictionary key. Okay, we have a syntax error here. In order to fix this, I will have to change this Europe here. Europe should be equals with single, and here column, like this one. Okay, click shift enter, and if I call the data frame here, You could say it will replace Asia to the region Asia, Europe to the region Europe, etc. Or with to replace it with the map, we should again copy this one, and let's change the variable name, refresh the dataset itself here, and come back here. And first, again, I will copy the name of the column, like the DF region. DF region equals again the DF region, and then add in what? Map here, map and mapping. If I click Shift Enter and call it DF here, it will replace these values but print out the NaN values for all these non-existing or values here inside of this variable. All the other values are just printed out the NaN. It hasn't found it. But if I want to fix it, I will have to add in what? Combine first parameter, first, and add in the column itself here. Type in DF region. If I click Shift Enter and call the DataFrame, I will just replace it. I will refresh it here, and again call this code, run it, and run the DataFrame here. You could see it has replaced all the values without problem. We have just replaced it with the help of the map and replace method here, this one. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel. Have a good day. Bye.